Okay, so today we are going to learn about Morrigan's neutral and kind of general Morrigan stuff that is not combos and soul spam. This is gonna, uh, I'm just gonna teach you all the things that I picked up playing Morrigan over the months. Even though I don't main her, there's a ton of just must-know knowledge that really you only pick up through experience. And I'm gonna try and touch on all the main subjects to give you an idea what to think about in a match. But before we get too knee deep into this stuff, there's a few execution things that I just want to talk about that to me wasn't obvious at first. So I'm just going to get out of the way in case you really are super new to Morrigan and picking her up. For example, like when you soul spam, you need to call assists a lot of the time, like Doom Missile. I used to not know how to do that without breaking the soul spam. Like I'd wait till it falls, or I'd wait, press the assist before. You can actually call an assist during a fly or unfly command because the assist isn't called until you release the button, where the special starts when you press the button. So if you do them at the exact same time, that's the best way to call an assist. So when you're throwing fireballs over the place, it just makes it a lot easier to just throw in the assist button during your pattern than try and fit something in edgewise. So that's just something that I don't know. It wasn't obvious to me, so I'm going to put that first and foremost. Another thing is her DP. Like if you look at the input history, I did a perfect DP motion. Like you got to do it really tight to actually get her air DP to come out before you're. Like see, I can't even do it. Like you got to do it almost the exact same time. For whatever reason it does that is because forward, neutral, down, forward is an input leniency she has for a dash. It's not like that for other characters, just her. So that's something that's really dumb that I hated about her. But as a hitbox player, I can do SOCD dragon punches because it gets rid of the neutral input, so she'll never do that. So I can do a DP and still have a fly input. Otherwise, you have to fly and then DP. Some people don't have problems with just doing DPs, but for whatever reason, I like pressing light way after for safety, so I can't do DP unless it's SOCD with Morrigan. So that's just something to think about, because that's a lifesaver. Same concept with the assist calling, like out of a DP, you can use the DP to escape, and then call an assist at the exact same time. It just takes a lot of the headaches out of playing Morrigan when you can just fit an assist in anywhere, because you're doing a lot of inputs, so it's just nice to combine things. Another thing is also with that assist calling method, like shoot one over their head and then one at them, and then on the unfly you can call Dante, for example, and he covers you. It's just a way to help cover your angles and fit more things in. Like whatever assist you're running, you can get your own playbooks to use that, and it will help you a ton. Another thing, while we're on the subject of assist calling, is let's say we're not fighting Nova, we're fighting somebody with a tight ground game and a Doom Beam. Like let's say it's Wolverine Beam, and I want to call missiles, and he always waits till I start to call missiles to counter with Doom Beam. That classic thing where it's a pain in the ass because you can't get missiles to watch your back. Because without missiles or a good block string, you can't go into Astral, because Astral has a ton of recovery, and you're gonna die unless you can set up an Astral Vision. So one thing that I picked up how to beat things like beams and safely cover your assist is to stack projectiles. Like if you look, they both go across the Doom Beam threshold at the same time. Each fireball she throws has 5 priority points, so together that's 10, and Doom Beam is what, 8? So if you call Doom missiles on the second one, so I did light fireball, medium fireball, unfly with Doom missiles, and what happens is while he's coming out, the fireballs protect him from projectiles. And then honestly, you can even fit in one more. Like let's say you're fighting Zero, and he's holding Buster until on like a ground Buster. This happens a lot. He's throwing Hangekis, and then he lets go of Buster as soon as he sees your assist get grayed out or whatever to stop Doom missiles. Same thing, but that third fireball right there, by the time these two disappear, oops, that third one covers it. So that's 15 projectile points. That's a lot of meat in front of you to protect Doom missiles, and that's a huge lifesaver in kind of a patient zoning ground war. Is because a lot of Morrigan is just being able to safely protect your assist, and that's actually huge. So light fireball, medium fireball will save your ass. Another way to call an assist is to call it while you cross over them, so that if they do a super or call an assist, it'll be shooting your way, and the missiles will be coming behind. So not all the time can you just do something as stupid as that. You need Plink dashing to really make it, yuck, like that. So let's say I jump in that same kind of situation. Instead of stacking 2 fireballs, I'm going to throw a light one, and then I'm going to start Plink dashing upwards. Now I can either immediately start calling Doom, and like that, so he's completely, you never saw him, you just heard him. He's still a little bit vulnerable to where if they know what you're doing to shoot him, but regardless, you're up there. So if they do a beam super, you're in a lot better position to punish. Or what you can do is you can wait until like you're just crossing over them, and that's huge with Morrigan. Like I feel a lot of Morrigans don't abuse Plink dash enough, just because of the fact that you can just create space between you and your assist. Although that was totally ugly. Yuck. Anyway, that's the whole concept. That's huge because a lot of the time, your biggest struggle with Morrigan is going to be countering aggressive play, because you have to read exactly where they are and stop their angles with fireballs, and you got to fit in assists in the middle of all that stuff. So it's really tough to control the match, especially if they play like a nut. So, and another one is obviously just put out something meaty there to get you started. That's a little bit riskier, but those are kind of the main ways you're going to call assists. And that's actually most of playing Morrigan right there, is how to get that out. Because once they make them block something that's gives you frame advantage, then you can go into Astral, and it's pretty cake from there. I'm not actually going to cover Astral too much because I don't have much to bring to the table other than just throw a bunch of crap at them. Like you can rush down in Astral and make cool web patterns, but I'm just going to talk about mostly her regular neutral game to set up Astral and escape weird situations. So on that, let's talk about something other than assist calling. Let's say Nova is an aggressive Wolverine again, and I have to escape. Like one of her best things, since she can't Pope select or Morrigan, a lot of times you have to super jump to escape or just throw out that heavy DP. Both are good options, but the main problem is, especially if they're a ground-based character like Wolverine that can Berserker Slash and confuse your inputs. Quick tangent, like one of the most scary things about Morrigan is while you throw things, if somebody crosses you under or teleports, your flight is going to turn into a soul drain, and then you're going to get all gummed up and confused, and then you got to fall down to your death, because you completely lost the neutral at that point. And that's the scariest spot to be in. Other than just generally fall with H, because it hits both sides, you want to just avoid that altogether. So that's where Plink dashing will also save you again. Like let's say I super jumped, so I can't even call an assist to help transition to the ground. A good thing to do is to chase your fireball with Plink dash. Like that. Now, if he wasn't in the corner and I crossed behind him, like let's say I'm running from Wolverine, so he's going to be nipping at my heels. So this is going to make it to where his only angle is to super jump over that stuff and give you an edge. You still got to watch out for the dive kick, and he might have called beam there, but if you noticed, I had 2 projectiles at the same time, which would stop a beam while I land and stop anybody from doing anything but a jump approach. So that's huge, because a lot of times if you like super jump, this is the worst thing to do. Super jump and then throw 2 fireballs. I mean, what are you gonna do? You got to fall down into a bunch of scary stuff. So you want to always shoot and then do something mobile. So that's life-saving advice there. I feel so stupid when I like overcommit and just throw 2 fire, especially in the same direction. Like a lot of times when you're playing Morrigan, you kind of panic and just like, I just want to throw some shit, but you weren't reading into what they were doing at all, and they get around it, and you just gotta fall to your death, basically. So yeah, if that ever happens, press H. It's your best bet. Otherwise, you know, you're at a severe disadvantage. So if you can avoid that and use crisp mobility to make things great, yeah, especially like you can stack calling a light fireball from jump height into Plink dashing. That's going to be your best bet, because not all the time can you just throw stuff and people are going to have to eat it. That's only on matchups that are way favorable to Morrigan, because it gets pretty messy. If somebody's really playing a tight ground game, it's really tough to get Astral. And without Astral, a lot of the times you can't fully take advantage of the neutral. So just find whatever assist you're using ways to safely call them, whether it's stacking or avoidance or block strings, however you want to do it. Just figure out all the millions of ways to do it. Whoops. And escape. So that's actually most of what you need to know about Morrigan right there. It's just ways to safely get into Astral and create block strings. But if you are in fireball throwing mode, rather than throwing just 2 fireballs correctly, like not just like throwing them and then falling down because they're underneath you, like in a lot of matchups you do get to play the 2 fireball game, and you just want to create, the first thing you want to always do is stop them from jumping. So a lot of the times, always my first fireball, this is kind of like an option select. You throw a heavy fireball and then you wait. If they're not and they're just going to run at you, you might not want to do that, but most people try and outspace you or get above you. Obviously, you know, play the player, not just do the same crap over and over again, but this is a good base point because it gives you a ton of options. A, it stops them from jumping. B, if they jumped and got hit, you can confirm it. And C, it puts you in a good spot to move. Like, so let's just focus before we get to what you do after that. Different things you can do if they jumped. Like to confirm it. Oh, I gotta hit them first. I gotta not blocking. Okay. You can basically always confirm every fireball so long as you're not just throwing fireballs. Like you can confirm off these ones too. Like wherever you read them, it's best to not just keep chucking. You want to do something from there. But let's say you didn't hit him. You can confirm off anything with Morrigan. She's amazing. But let's say this is actually a tip Nerd Josh told me that he thinks the way to a higher Morrigan is having ways to just throw stuff and deal with push block. Because a lot of times, if you're just throwing, you lose a lot of your stuff, especially if you want to create pressure. So, like you can beat push block with just neutral Plink dash, and then from whatever there, you can decide whether you want to change to down push block or whatever, or go for. You can even set up guard breaks if you get a good like that. Like that's super handy because it allows you to confirm and it allows you to advance, and any point in time you can start going upwards or downwards or excuse me, or bail out and go backwards. That was supposed to be a backdash, but I threw him. Another thing, if you don't have a good Plink dash, another alternative to this is what I call a rocket jump. I don't know what it's really called, but that's just what I call it. Basically, you take that. I'll turn off push. You take the not dash momentum, the fly momentum. See how she slides? What you do is you fly up forward, and you take all that momentum when you let go, and you turn it into a air dash down forward, and it just propels you much further. And that also works for confirming off of, like, if you got hit by that air fireball. The same thing, the same principle applies. I think all in all, Plink dashing's better because you have more chances to beat push block, and it's a little more relentless. But sometimes if you play a more patient game with Morrigan, it's another kind of option select. If you want to wait around, just start flying up forward and see what they do, and then you can react from there, because you always have a locked and loaded dash momentum mechanic, and you can always go wherever you can go wherever you want. You don't have to go forward. That's just kind of what generally what I use that is to approach. And then of course at any time you don't have to. You can just go back into throwing things. So a good tip from Morrigan is to not only not just zone, but zone and create you gotta watch what they're doing while you throw stuff. It's a kind of a fine art. Because there's so many opportunities you'll find you miss if you just throw fireballs, like, because you can confirm anywhere, so you want to try and always maybe slow yourself down a little bit and find exactly what you need to do based off what they're doing. Because, like, same thing. Oh my god, I'm awful at pick dashing right now. Like I said, you can change that into crossing them up with assist calls if he wasn't in the corner, stuff like that. So that's something to think about. That's super important for Morrigan. What else do we want to talk about? Yeah, like what I was talking about earlier against teleporters. The last thing you want to do is generally against people that can teleport and confuse my inputs. For one, a lot of times I'll do ground zoning, like a good pattern for her. Quarter circle forward, you can do light or whatever you want. Fly S. And even though you can still get crossed up and confused, a lot of times, like if you're fighting Virgil, if he does a medium teleport to get behind you, the shell kick will autocorrect and get you hit confirm. It also gives less time for them to screw up your inputs. If you're in the air, that's another time to where you shouldn't just keep throwing. Maybe throw one and then start Plink dashing, because if they cross you up, you don't want to accidentally get a soul drain to where they can confirm. So anytime you fight, Strider, Virgil, Strange, even Wolverine with his Berserker slash, that's a really scary spot for Morrigan, is you never want to get crossed up and have your inputs not be ready for it. I guess if you're smart, you can read it and then reverse your inputs and stuff, but I never figured that one out. I just try to avoid it altogether. Another one is Dorm. That's a really crazy matchup, but that I like to play a lot more aggressive rather than zoning. But you can watch Filipino Champ's video on that. That's totally unique. And let's see. Before I get into her normals, let me just I wrote down some stuff to see if I missed anything. Yeah, that kind of sums up the most of her basic neutral. For her normals, let's just do that. Her if let's say it is Nova and he's doing the he's Plink dashing forward and doing a Pope select. If you want to guard against throws, this light is amazing. Like a jumping light. It's active for 13 frames and it comes out in 4 frames. So you can use that to get to and then start throwing fireballs. I actually dial in a H, and that can be a hit confirm. Let's see. Like that. So if you just jump and then go, you can also do it backwards, but it's a little harder to confirm there. But that guards you from so much stuff. Like it helps again in 99 scenarios. Anytime you're like in a danger zone and you think they're gonna go for an air throw, that guards it. Also, obviously, if you're feeling really unsafe, that 3-frame DP will save your life over and over again. So her jumping light is amazing. Her jumping heavy is also amazing. Like I said, if you're falling, that little sphere, the hitbox on it is basically exactly what it looks like. For her ground normals, that is actually a good poke. This is multi-hitting. It's really good for versus super armor. Same with this. This is actually this rapid fire light punch. It always gives you 2, but it's actually a decent anti-air too. You'd be surprised at some of the things. So just try throwing that out there sometimes. Especially like if she's ducking under Doom Beam, and Wolverine's the guy I'm picking on today. You can just mash that underneath it and open somebody up, because a lot of people don't know you can low profile under beams with her, because her duck is so low. Let me see. Okay, so other than that, kind of to wrap up the tutorial, I just want to talk about some of her basic mix-ups to consider. I know there's a lot more complicated and cool stuff out there, but really there's just a couple 50-50s that is all you really need to know to effectively mix people up with Morrigan. The one you already know, I'm sure, is her standing light, so deceptive, and then her flight cancel into shell kick is amazing. So between that's the first 50-50, but I'm sure you already knew that. Her other one is her tri-jump 50-50, and most people only just go like this to create pressure, but that's not that great for several reasons. The main one being is that it's easy to see they're tri-jumping, I'm going to block high, and it's a multi-hitting special, so I can push block you all the way across the screen, and you're back out. So I like to do different ways to approach when they're blocking a beam or missiles or whatever for my first mix-up. So instead of using S for tri-jumps, I use light. Mainly for the reasons I said before, light comes out in 4 frames and it's active for 13 frames, so it just stays out there as an active normal. But you can't press it too fast or it won't come out at all, so that's a timing thing. But yeah, so her light is amazing. If you do it right, you tap them on the toes, but that works just fine too. And the way to actually make that not an overhead with the exact same timing is now we're going to actually use shell kick, but for a different reason than before. The shell kick is a fake to go into a standing. You make them block high into the standing light. Because their standing light's super fast to where, unless they read it, they're not going to be able to react to it. And you don't have to alter any timing. So it's either you press A for the overhead or S for the fake out. That's a legit 50-50, so that's super worth knowing and practicing. Really, that's kind of, between those two, that's all you need. But she also has some more dive bomby stuff with her H, this big sphere. It hits behind him really well, so depending on where you're at, whoops, I gotta sight it in real quick. I haven't done this for a while. Like that. Like, you can always go for a cross-up or not. Same with a box jump. You can get behind them with her H. The more you let it stall out, the easier it is to cross up, but also the easier to block, so you gotta find kind of a happy medium, and then of course the 50-50 part is making it super ambiguous to where you don't even know. But for the dive bomb one, this one's actually really handy. Like for about this range, probably neutral jump. Yeah, that's pretty ambiguous. If you're point blank or kind of in this range, super jump backwards. And those are her main mix-ups. Those are all I really use for mixing up a grounded opponent. I mean, really, those cover all your situations, and they're gonna open people up. So whenever you have them locked down, just grab from that bag, and that's all you need to know to get started. Just kind of, since I totally forgot how to do that, just practice that and figure out the exact timings for those, and they're super effective. And other than that, the only things I can really think of that I forgot is just how to use her soul drain in the neutral. This is kind of out of place in the tutorial, but I'll just kind of throw it in at the end here. The best part about soul drain is, to me, in the neutral, is that A, obviously it's slow, and B, when you're playing a match and you're doing all the Plink dashing stuff and you're moving around, that's just kind of guarding their assist call spot. So you can throw it out there and go all over the place, and then I need to wait. It's just kind of there to tag assists, like especially if you're an Astral. This is just silly because you can just do that, and they can never call assists, because if they do, you gain 2/3 of a bar. And then if they try jump and hit you, you've got the ones coming from the back, super slow, so you're just always safe with the soul drains. So these have interesting purposes. You can, whenever you have an extra space in the neutral, just replace a light fireball with a soul drain, and it will make people think twice as much about going in and doing something risky against you, because nobody likes having their meter get jacked from them. So, but that to me is the core knowledge you need to know about Morrigan. So practice up on your soul spam, figure out her combos and her confirms, and then all this stuff right here is super critical to setting up Astral and playing a really mobile, smart Morrigan. Also, sometimes rather than, well, since I'm just fitting everything in the end, rather than just doing the whole Plink dash pattern I told you there, like if you watch Chris G, sometimes he'll go back and forth to try and lure you to call an assist. That's also really good advice. Sometimes just do some air footsies, get some footwork going, get them to call that assist before you land, because most of the battle with Morrigan, if you don't already control the neutral, to gain control of it, you need to lure out their assist or counter their assist with priority points, mobility, whatever. Just find every single way you can to lure out their assist and protect yours, and then you will win with Morrigan. Because the rest is just chip damage and frustration, and that's pretty much all you need to know. So let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up if you need help with technique or stuff like that. Yeah, and I will help you the best I can. Because Morrigan is fun, and she's super good. So, Post-EVO-pick-up-Morrigan strat, go!